קהל קדוש, בוקר אור, מועדים לשמחה, מסכת זבחים, דף כ"ז עמוד א' 27a1. We are starting the Gemara, where the Gemara was talking about right now, where it says mitveh. So they asked the question, v'chishev liten et hanitanin lemala lemata, lemata lemala, lealtar kasher. What happens right now if they went and they wanted to put the blood? Now they were going to put the blood from the top to the bottom, bottom to the top. So he says, if it was going to be in the same day, it's going to be kosher. What does it mean top and bottom? Tizkeru, shaya, right? You have to remember that there was a chuta sikra. Chuta sikra was the red line going on the mizbeach. Certain korbanot had to be above. And certain korbanot, the blood had to be sprinkled below. So therefore, what happens if you switch? Right? You made a cholent, right? Up, above, below, above, all these things. So he says, if it was going to be done immediately, it's going to be kosher, right? Lealtar kasher. Chazar ve-chishev, right? If he wanted to think about it afterwards, about this thing, about the doing it properly, chutzim komo, it's going to be pasul. Vembo karet. Remember, chutzim komo is not considered pigul. Pigul is only chutzim zmano. Zmano means outside of the proper time, but outside of the proper place, it's not pigul. It's pasul, but there's no karet. Chutzim zmano, it's going to be pigul v'chayvim alav karet. Lemachar, if it's going to be for tomorrow, it's going to be pasul. Chazar v'chishev ben chutz tzmo ben chutz mkomo, it's going to be pasul. Ve'em bo karet, and there's not going to be karet. Now he says, ve'i shelo b'mkomo ki mkomo dami. Now if you're going to tell me that, shelo b'mkomo is considered ki mkomo, right?
Can you say the difference again? Pigul is a man.
Pigul is only zman, and therefore it's going to be mitavid shamayim. That's pigul. Okay, and
can you give one example?
What an example?
Yeah.
Pigul is outside of the zmano. I'm going to bring the korban, and I'm going to think I'm going to bring it for tomorrow. Meaning I'm going to slaughter it now. I'm going to sprinkle the blood tomorrow. That's called chutzi zmano. Chutzi komo is I'm going to sprinkle it in the wrong place. That's outside of the place. So outside of the place is pasul, but there's no karet. Outside of the proper time is pigul, and there is karet. So it says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me outside of the proper place, it's considered kim komo, and it's going to be pasul. He says, 1 second, but that's going to be pigulu. So why did the Braita say that it's going to be pasul? It's going to be pigul. So Amar Morzutra says, Zrika de Sharia, basar ba'achila, maiti dilide pigul. When do you have, right, the concept over here? He says, if you have zrika, sprinkling of the blood, which is going to permit the meat and eating, that is the only type which is going to permit, is going to bring it to bidei pigul. But if you're going to have sprinkling of the blood, which does not permit the eating, so therefore it's not going to bring bidei pigul, right? So he says, only zrika bimkoma could cause that you're going to eat it. So if you're going to eat it, only in the proper place can it become pigul. So Elmaleh Rav Ashi, the Morzutra, Menalacha, how do you know this? It says pigul. What does that mean? If you're going to eat it from the basar of the Zevachim, it's going to be pigul. Mishe pigulo garamlo. This is only going to be where the pigul is causing it. Yatzazeh, this is going to exclude she'em pigulo garamlo, where it's not going to cause it. But it's something else. What is something else? Which means that you're not allowed to eat from the basar of the korbanot. It's going to be something else. So Yihachi, if so, says, so then it should become pasul also. This is like the machshava of leaving it over until tomorrow, and according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, that this is also going to be posel the korban. Okay? So Resh Lakish comes and he says, Leolam pasul mamash. Really, be'emet, it's 100% pasul. Yeah? So yeah, you're okay. No, שאני מסתובב, אבל בסדר. So he says, pasul mamash. Shelo bimkomo, if it's not going to be in the proper place, like kimkomo dami. V'la kashen, it's not a question. Kan shenatam bishtika, v'kan shenatam ba'amira. One of them, you just kept quiet. Kept quiet is one thing. But if you said something, that's what makes it worse. Meaning, right, this is always a musara scale. it's always better to keep quiet. You kept quiet, okay, fine. You didn't do anything, but you kept quiet. Bediuk, shtika, yeah. So he says, but if it's going to be now that you said, and you said something that makes it after Zman, that for sure is going to be posel. So now we learned in the Mishnah. חישב להינתן את הניתנים למטה למעלה, למטה למעלה, עד, right? needed to have a מחשבה תנוח, believe it Rabbi Yehuda. Right? So he says now like this. Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Rabbi Yochanan says, Idi be'idi. Whether this Mishnah or the other Mishnah, Shanatam Bishtika, you're talking about that you gave it, right? The Kohen come and he put it, Bishtika, without saying anything. Shelo bimkomo lav kimkomo dami, v'hadika dam nefesh. It all depends if you saw dam nefesh. Meaning it is. If you went and you did something wrong, so check if there's still blood in the animal. Go back to the animal, right? Go back to the animal and take, right, the blood which was still there. But if there's no dam nefesh, that's it. There's nothing what to do anymore. Okay. So now we learned in a Mishnah.
After how long?
Oh, obviously, we're talking about after a few minutes. There's still dam nefesh. If there's no dam nefesh, that's it. There's nothing left. So obviously, we're talking about that there's still dam nefesh. So he says, so now we learned in a Mishnah, pasul, right? Vembo karet. It's going to be pasul, but there's no karet. So Bishma, according to the Shakish, that's good according to the Shakish because it says pasul, vembo karet. It makes sense. But he comes and he says, but according to Rabbi Yochanan, what does it mean now, embo karet? So he says, Kashia, you're right. It's a good question against Rabbi Yochanan. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Mazotom karet. Why karet? It's a good question. Vehachi kamar, but according to Shmuel, what does it mean embo karet? It says like this, Hachi kamar. Im natan machshava, if you went and you put your machshava to it, that means you put your mindset. Machshava is your mindset. Pasul vembo karet. It's not going to be of karet. Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, is shalom imkomo lav kimkomo dami. Nishpach min hakli ala litzpa v'yatzfenu. If it's going to be that it's spilled on the floor and then you picked it up, what's going to happen? So Savala Kamanda Amar lo yatzfenu. He says you're not allowed to gather it. Meaning if the blood fell on the floor, you're not allowed to gather the blood anymore.
Like
Yes, the kli that's exactly broken. So he says, everybody agrees that if it's going to be lemala lemata, right, lemata lemala, shelo kemitzatan, not like the mitzvah, shelo yatzfenu, you shouldn't collect it. Lo nechleku when it's machloket, ele nintanin lemala, shenital lemala, lemata lemata lemala. Rabbi Yosef omer lo yatzfenu. Rabbi Shimon says you should collect it. So basically the question is, should you collect the blood again and then come sprinkle it properly? That's the question. Right? Again, one more time. You did it wrong. You sprinkled above, below, above. Right? You made a mistake. Can I collect the blood and then just do it again properly or no? Yeah. So that's the question. Right? So he comes and he says, can I do it? So again, it's machloket. Are you allowed to collect or not? According to Rabbi Yosef, he says you're not allowed to collect it. According to Rabbi Shimon, you're allowed to collect it. So there's machloket whether you're allowed to collect it or not allowed to collect it. Okay? Kavzayin Mubet, 27b. Okay? Umishnatenu. And who is our Mishnah going like? Obviously, like the one that says, Lo esfenu, you shouldn't collect. Fine. Which is going like Rabbi Yosef. But Rabbi Yosef says, you're not allowed to come and collect it again. Okay. Next. Rav Chasta. According to Rav Chasta. Yeah? According to Rav Chasta, right? He comes and he says the name of Avini, Hakol Modin, everybody agrees, Shanitani lemata, nitani lemala, shelo yasfenu. Everybody agrees that if you went and you put it on the below, right? And really, be'emet, you were supposed to put it below, but you put it on the top. Everybody agrees that what? Shelo yasfenu. You shouldn't collect it. Because the upper ones, anyway, they fall below. Meaning the entire concept, gravity, well, the entire concept of the principle at the beginning, you sprinkled on the top, but where does it go? It goes down. So for sure, the ones that are on the top, that blood anyway is coming down. The only question is, you came and you sprinkled it on the top, and then it rolled down. So when is machlokedim? Nitanim lifnim shenitam b'chutz, right? Shenitznin lifnim. Rabbi Yosef Omer, Rabbi Yosef comes and he says,
what does it mean? So what comes down?
The blood comes down. So since anyway the blood is coming down, so therefore for sure in such a case, since the blood anyway is coming down, so therefore for sure you could grab it, right? You cannot collect it, right? In order to do it again, because anyway the ones, that's what he says. One more time. What did the Gemara say? The Gemara said everybody agrees that if it was right now nitanin lemata, you were supposed to do it on the bottom, and then you came and you did it on the top. You're not allowed to agree. You're not allowed to come, and you're not allowed to collect it. Kalvachomer, which is called chicken, if it was going to be on the top, right, that you put it on the bottom. Why? Because since it was going to be on the top, anyway, it was fitting to go on the bottom. Because once you sprinkle it on the top, anything that's up comes down, right? It's laws of gravity. Whatever goes up must come down. Yeah. Somebody once came and they shot a bullet in the air, and then afterwards, when it came down, it hit somebody. So the cops said, he said, no, but I shot it in the air. Yeah, you shot it in the air, but remember, whatever goes up must come down. Yeah, that's the rule. Okay.
Okay, the meaning what?
What?
What you are learning?
Bon,
Hold on one second.
dormez.
What you have done?
So now the Gemara says, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Afananami Tanina, we also learned it in a Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Zot hi haola. Zot, this one, not something else. He, this one, not something else. Haola is an ola. These are shalosh miutins. Meaning, when I come and I tell you this one, it's coming to exclude another one. When I tell you she, he, something comes to exclude something else. Say haola. So three, shalosh miutins. Prat comes to exclude. Nishchata balayla, nishpach dama, v'sheyatza dama chutz leklalim. So therefore, it's coming to exclude that if you did the shechita in the nighttime, it spilled the blood, or the blood came out of the curtains. Imalta, if it went up to the mizbeach, tere. What does that mean? Even if it went up to the mizbeach, because I would have thought to say, listen, you know what? If it's already on the mizbeach, it's okay. Beseder. Betil v'yavor. Send it to lavor. Give it to pass. No. Afilu imolta la mizbeach. It's already on the mizbeach. Bring it down. Bring it down. Rabbi Shimon says, Ola, en li ela ola kshera. When it says in the pasuk Ola, that's only an ola kshera, which is going to be, or any other korban. Minayin lerabot nishchata balad nishpachta v'shesach dama chutz leklaim. How do I know that it's coming to exclude whether it's talking about nishpach dama, right, or nishchata balayla, or that the blood came out of the curtains? Vayotze v'atameh v'halan, and over there, for example, a korban, right, that was outside of the mizbeach, right? It stayed left over, or it came out of the curtains, or tameh, or it was nishchat outside of the zmano and chutz tomo, or they came and the psulim came and they accepted the blood, or they sprinkled the blood. Itarim lemala lemata, lemata lemala, itarim mifnim bachutz, bachutz mibifnim. Hapetzav v'chadash yitan lo nishman. Minayin, how do we know that if it went up to the mizbeach and moridim odo, we're not going to come and we're not going to bring it down? Which means like this: when it says an olah, only this olah is it going to be that it's going to be keshera, that be'emet, if it went up, it's going to come down. What about all the other psuls? What are the other psuls? Meaning, I've got other defects. So you got many defects. You got defects of, for example, nishchata balayla, shchita in the nighttime. You have to do it during the daytime. Nishpach dama, if it's fell on the floor, right? The blood came outside of the curtains. Lida is leftovers, right? Outside of the proper time and place. When you did one of the services, I was thinking I'm going to do it for tomorrow, for the next day, for 2 days' time. It's pasul, either pigul or pasul, right? A pasul came and he accepted the blood. Who could accept the blood? מי יכול לקבל את הדם? רק הכהן. מי יכול לשחוט? שר גם. כולם. Yeah, even Azar, everybody. But from Kabbalat Adam, expecting the blood, and onwards, only a Kohen. So yet a Pasul came and he accepted the blood, or he sprinkled the blood. Or, one second. Or the upwards to downwards to upwards. Again, one more time. You sprinkle the blood downwards, it was supposed to be upwards, downwards. Or inside, outside, inside. Remember the two Mizbeachs. Mizbeach HaPnimi, Mizbeach HaChitzon. The inner Mizbeach, which is inside of the Hechal, the building, and the outer Mizbeach, which is Mizbeach HaNachoshet on the outside. Certain korbanot were on the outside. Certain korbanot are on the inside. So a chatat, there's a chatat HaPnimit. Chatat HaPnimit, the inner chatat. The inner chatat, I have to sprinkle it on the inside. I came and I did it on the outside. Or vice versa. Outside, inside, outside. Or, he comes and he says, the Korban Pesach and chatat. That's how we started the Masechet. Korban Pesach and chatat that we did shechita, shelo lishma. How do we know that if these korbanot, which are psulim, right, they go onto the Mizbeach, how do we know that we don't bring them down? So Talmud Lomar comes to teach you, Torah Ta'olah. What does it mean, Torah Ta'olah? Ribat Torah Achat Lechol Ha'olim. It's the same thing for everything that goes up. That what? That if it already went up, it doesn't come down. Special rule. So again, there is the rule, right, that even though it goes up, it does come down. That was to do with the Olah. Zot Hi Ha'olah. That it doesn't. But everything, all the other psulim, if it went inside, right, what happens? Once it goes to the Mizbeach, it does not come down.
Okay, but there's like Shoma.
So now what says the Gemara? Yachol, I would have thought to say, Shani marbe et harovea v'hanirba v'hamukse v'haneva v'haetzna v'mechir v'kilayim v'hatrefa v'yotze dofen. Talmud lomar zot. What does that mean? I would have thought to say that what happens if you have an animal which was or rovea or nirba? Remember, we're talking about bestiality, right? So therefore, obviously, it depends if it's a male or a female, whether it's going to be a rovea or a nirba. Rovea is that the male animal is doing an action. The nirba is that it's a female that's receiving the action. So you have, I would have thought to say that if you have an animal which is going to be rovea or nirba, I would have said the same halacha, or mukse. Mukse means that it was designated for avodah zarah. Nevad, it was actually served as avodah zarah. Etnan is an etnan zonah. It was given to a zonah as a present for her services. V'mechir, or mechir keleb. Kilaim is going to be, right, that it was obviously going to be a crossbreed. V'terefa, right, what is a terefa? Terefa is an animal that's not going to live the year. The yotze dofen, or it was yotze dofen through a C-section. Yeah, Talmud Omar comes to teach you zot. What does it mean now, the word zot? When it says the word zot, which is a mute, it's coming to exclude these animals that even if they was brought up, it comes down. So says the Gemara, right? Why? Why are you coming and you telling me that right now, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say, I'm going to come to exclude, and I'm going to say like this. If it's going to be, let's say, for Avodah Zarah, and it went up to the Mizbeach, I have to bring it down. But if it was going to be that they slaughtered it Shalom Lishma, let's say it was a Pesach, slaughtered Shalom Lishma, or Chatat, and I brought it up, right? You come and you bring it, you leave it up there. Why? Why this list above, we come and we add. And we say that if it went up, it doesn't come down. And now this second list, if it goes up, it does come down. Why? There's the Gemara. He comes and he says like this. He says these ones were the psul, the defect, right? The one which disqualified it came after it's already in here. The other ones was already before. Meaning like this: if you served it to Avodah Zarah, this animal was already pasul. So when it comes inside of the Bet HaMikdash, it's already pasul. It's already disqualified. So therefore, it's going to continue saying disqualified. These animals that we mentioned here, it was 100% kosher. It became disqualified here. Right here was the disqualification. So because of that, if it's already up there, you leave it up there. Katani niha, but we did learn though. Hanitanin lemata shenatana lemala shenatana lemata. Velo pali Rabbi Yehuda. Just 1 second, but we did learn the difference between sprinkled on the top to the bottom, bottom to the top, and there was no argument between Rabbi Yehuda. So he says, Rabbi Yehuda, my time, what's the reasoning? Lav mishum the kalte mizbeach was not because the mizbeach came and it was kolet. Shema minas to comes to teach you, you shouldn't gather it. So Amar Rabbi Lazar says Rabbi Lazar mizbeach panimim kadesh psulim. Says, you know that the mizbeach panimim, which is the inner mizbeach, is going to come and it's going to sanctify it. That the second that went up, it doesn't come down. So according to him, there's a special halacha in the inner mizbeach. The mizbeach panimim, which is the mizbeach ketoret, the one on the inside the Hechal. Second, it's inside. That's it. What's coming to you? You already learned it. Says no. If it was only from that bright time, I would have thought to say dam the chazile. That's only going to be by the blood which is fitting for it, right? But the comets is not chazile. The lo chazile. Elmaleh, I would have thought to say that the mizbeach panimi is not going to be mekadesh oto, and therefore if it went up, it does go down. Kamashmalan comes to teach you that even by the comets that they brought it on the inner mizbeach, the inner mizbeach has a special rule. The second it goes up, it doesn't come down. Okay? So, matevei. So we're going to ask the following question. Where did you buy it? Obviously here. I've heard. Oh. What is so it? He says, matevei. No. I know. Be careful. No, I just saw them coming by. Just be careful. Matevei. Right? So he comes and he says this. Matevei. Ketoret zara shala legabe mizbeach. When you have a ketoret zara that came up to the mizbeach, tered, it goes down. She'en lecha mikdash, right? Mekadesh psulim, el mizbeach hachitzon karaui lo. Right? But it's only going to be mizbeach hachitzon, which is fitting for it. Chitzon in. Nimilo. Only going to be the outer one, but not the inner one. Right? So this is again, that the primi is not going to be mekadesh. So this is a sfira to Rabbi Lazar. So he says, taritzacha. This is the way that you're going to have to, right? You're going to have to answer. Ketoret zara shalta lemizbeach hachitzon tered. שאין המזבח החיצון מקדש פסולין אלא הראוי לו. והפנימי, בין הראוי לו בין שאין הראוי לו. My time out reasoning, היי רצפה והי כלי שרת. This is going to be the רצפה, which is the outer mizbeach on the floor, and this is going to be the kli sharet, which is the holy utensils, which that since it's going to be even though it's going to be not ra'uilo, it's still going to be okay. Okay, we're just going to start the Mishnah. We'll finish with the Mishnah for today. Hashochet et zevach. If you're going to come, you're going to slaughter the korban. Again, one more time. Chutz limkomo, outside of the proper place. Lizrok damo b'chutz, right? And you're going to sprinkle the blood outside of the azara. Or miksat damo, or even part of the blood outside, b'chutz. Latire murav b'chutz, to bring the limbs on the outside. Or miksat murav b'chutz, or even part of them. Lechol b'sar b'chutz, to eat the flesh on the outside. Or even kazait b'sar b'chutz, or even part of it. Or lechol kazait or aliyah. Or even to eat the kazait only from the order which is underneath the aliyah, which obviously, right, it's not part of. So he says like this, bachutz, outside, right? Again, meaning any part that you're going to eat outside. I don't care if it's going to be a kazait, doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be pasul ve'en bo karet. Again, one more time. It's not karet because it's not pigul. Pigul is zman. It's makom. But it's still pasul. It's still disqualified. If it's on the proper place, it's going to become disqualified. So here you have the disqualification.
בשמחה, שבת שלום.